So this is Monday, and we had the vote on Thursday the 23rd of June 2016. So this is 27th of June, which is a memorable date for us because it's somebody's birthday, and the political classes have really shown leadership, that's sarcasm, in the UK, leadership in the UK by disintegrating at the moment when we require them. So well done everybody. And post-Brexit politics and economics seems to have taken a real slam in the UK after the Brexit vote was arrived at. It's a beautiful evening, even if England are being beaten, so I admit to being half English and we support them because obviously my family's English. And they're getting hammered at the minute by Iceland 2-1, but there's still a second half to go, so, and a little bit of the first half. The markets, I might as well talk about them first because there's been a bit of a hammering in the markets as well, but whether it matters half as much, I'm not sure. Mervyn King was wheeled on, who's a former Bank of England governor, and Mervyn King has said, you know, they go up and down, so don't sweat it basically, because it's really so what. And Big Merv is right. It's very much a case of so what. The pound's down at 132 and it's not been there since 1987. Yeah, okay. You've got to remember, these are arbitrary figures. The market feels as though it should move down, so it's moving down. And if all it takes for the markets to go back up is for somebody like Clint Eastwood or someone to come on and say, hey, everything's okay. If that's all it takes, they just need confidence in a big enough figure to come on and say everything's alright. And then suddenly everything will stop falling downwards. Then is it that big a deal? And that's an absolute fact. They're run on a very facile, very silly basis, the markets. And most of it's about sentiment of people who are afraid because there's large sums of money involved that they don't actually have. I've traded tens of thousands of pounds in stocks and shares, and I came out, I to within £100 I hadn't made or lost any money, and it was somewhere altogether like £70,000 after a year I'd bought and sold, and so I decided that that wasn't for me. But of course they don't trade on the same basis I would trade. So markets, they make money when it goes up and down, so why they actually want things to not be volatile is beyond me. Standard & Poor have downgraded us from AAA in the UK to AA rating. That's still fantastically good, and many countries would dream of it, so that of itself isn't an issue. And if they didn't downgrade us, it'd be a massive surprise. On Friday, the CNBC Squawk Box and the Closing Bell programmes were talking about how there was not enough turmoil in the markets. They thought there was insufficient panic. So basically, there wasn't enough trouble. Okay. And that was true. They said watch for Monday, they said, because that'll be the big turmoil. People have a chance to think about it over the weekend, realise they haven't fallen half far enough, and really chuck things out the window on Monday, and that's what happened. We've had so to move on to people reassuring the markets, we had the Chancellor of the Exchequer, George Osborne, Boy George, come out for the Tory party and government, saying, well, it's you know, it's not great, but we'll weather it, and the government stands by to do whatever it takes, and so on and so forth. He did say a telling thing though, which is something about his position becoming clear in the next few days. So basically he's going to resign at the end of the week. There's no other way for me to interpret that, so my first prediction is that George Osborne will resign by Friday the is that 29th, 30th? He'll resign by the end of the week. David Cameron, the Prime Minister of the UK, has already said he's going to resign. He's like given notice of resignation, so we know where he stands. The most important thing he stands for, though, I'll go on to in a minute, which is his stance on the Article 50 business and how we go about it. So let me run through the other things. Football take. Labour, the Corbyn crisis. Okay, so Corbyn has to go, and the only person who doesn't know it's him. He came in, and although you might think that he was somebody who came into power and then everybody unites behind him, and you would have thought this was just the... See, this is a litmus test moment. The Tories are in crisis. If all that Labour can do is fall apart, it shows that they didn't have the right leader. Okay? It's the litmus test. At this point, they should have got behind him. Instead, people have kind of just feel as though they've been vindicated that he isn't charismatic enough to win a general election. And of course, he hasn't won a general election, really. He's shown some good innings, but that's it. He just... Is he going to win one? At this point, probably not. He's come across weak and lacklustre, and because he's come out as against Brexit when a lot of his Labour supporters have voted for it, that's a problem. That shows you're out of kilter with your voters. Difficult. But Corbyn should go, and this is my prediction on this. Corbyn should go eventually, but he'll make it as painful as possible. It's quite clear. McDonnell will support him, and his shadow chancellor. Even the 30 people resigning, apparently. Normally, 2 or 3 people resigning would be enough to tell the leader it's time to go. 30 people resigning isn't enough to tell Jeremy Corbyn it's time to go. Yeah, he could stand up and carry on, but that's not the point. He's going about it the way it will cause maximum damage to the Labour Party and give it minimum chance of being in the next election. And just when the country needs it, he's failing to show shadow leadership, shall we say. And he would have been able to reassure the markets and stuff, you see, if he was the right character. He's not. So my prediction, what I think probably should happen and what probably will happen, Tom Watson stays as deputy leader, and he is going to be the one to, as a continuity thing, and Corbyn should stand down, and Hilary Benn should be the leader, and he actually has a chance of winning support. He actually won some praise from the Tories in a good way, not in that kind of sarcastic, you know, we think we can beat you kind of way. So that's what should happen there. Bank of England, Mark Carney, he's been okay. You know, he came out and said what he had to say. He's been, he looks solid compared to the Tory party falling apart and the Labour party falling apart. Yeah, the markets, just one more thing on that. They will make any problems worse. They will accentuate and exacerbate any problems because they jump on whatever bandwagon it is. It's like Google. It's like YouTube, you know, people make videos to suit the current situation. So if there's a nuclear bomb went off, they'd all make videos about nuclear bombs. If there's a problem, the market will all say it's all about problems. Yeah, so if somebody sells off, they'll all sell off. They are lemmings, okay? So they make things worse. The stock markets are meant to be there to finance companies and get capital together for capital investment for companies. They've turned into a money-making system for gamblers. It's a casino operation, so that's why I don't care too much about the markets do, because they're not actually doing what their main job was to do. So yeah, the United Kingdom breakup may be precipitated by all this, but I want to just finish off about the Europeans and the Brexit thing. So Europeans, Angela Merkel, Francois Hollande, and whoever the Italian guy is, who I haven't heard his name before or even seen him, they've all come out and said Article 50 has to be invoked immediately. You must without delay. Time is of the essence. Every second counts, says Hollande. Merkel stays on the technical point that Article 50 must be invoked before formal talks can take place. No informal talks, she said. Now Liam Fox on the Tory side, and I think I'm reading what David Cameron's saying, is saying this as well. And Boris is definitely saying this. Basically, they want to get their talks and negotiated settlement ready, all eggs in a row, before they would press the Article 50 button. Article 50 is basically badly written. It's so badly written that the smart Brits, Boris Johnson, Liam Fox, these people are not going to support invoking Article 50 right away because they know full well it's stupid. Sorry, David Cameron was the other one, but he's going. So the thing to do is get all your eggs in a row, and then you say to the Europeans, okay, Article 50, we'll press the button once we've got an agreement there that we're ready to sign. Then we can say that you've reneged on it if you don't sign it. So the Europeans must think we're really stupid. Article 50 was badly written by a load of people who thought they'd never leave. Now Britain is leaving. and other countries should think very carefully that if they were in a lot of trouble or had trouble at home and they wanted to leave for various political or economic reasons, like Greece, you see, we thought it'd be Greece that'd be leaving, and then it didn't, and they've bought it out. But they can't buy their way out of the British problem because it's a democratic thing. So we're quite right. We should hang on and get the agreement, all eggs in a row, before we press the Article 50 button, because Article 50 was badly written, so deliberately, so that those 27 or 28 Europeans, whoever's left, gets to write the method of our demise, and we'd have to be extremely stupid to allow that. So the last thing I'm going to address is Scotland and Northern Ireland. Scotland would like to leave now, and I previously said that Scotland should have its own head and should get its own way and become independent. Now that was okay as things were. I now don't think that. Obviously I've been born in Scotland, and coming from Scotland, although we live in England, I have an opinion on it which is valid, and that opinion is that Scotland now is in a different position. They'll be very lukewarm about Scotland joining because they wanted the powerhouse of England and London to be staying. So they're going to be a bit less warm about Scotland joining than Scotland might think they would be, because they might look at Scotland and say, the Europeans, and say Scotland's a big bill waiting to happen. Every time oil falls, Scotland's revenue will be poor, and then the Europeans will be giving money to them right, left and centre. That's how... I'm afraid the Scots might just find out how, as part of the United Kingdom, they're welcome, and on their own they're not half so welcome. Excuse me. So that's the issue they might find. Northern Ireland want to unify with Ireland to an extent. Some of them Republicans, obviously. I mean, I'll just predict a solution for that, and whether you like it or not is another matter. Give Scotland things that it wants, so help them to get rid of the nuclear subs permanently parked in their backyard. The Faslane base that we used to cross in a boat just a mile or two away from the Faslane base was. We used to drive past the Faslane base every time we went to see grandmother and grandfather on the Clyde coast. We used to go to Kilcreggan, which, if anybody knows the area, is just opposite Gourock, sort of thing. So, you know, the boat, my granddad used to take us out in the boat, and they'd go up massive waves, and I'd say, where are the waves coming from, Granddad? He said, it's that. And he'd point, and a big submarine conning tower would be there with a couple of guys with hats, you know, and it'd go past, and then the waves would calm down. But it got pretty rough for a bit. He loved that, of course. So take the subs away, give them a few other things they want, and make the deal better for Scotland to stay. That's just my view. And that's tied up in Northern Ireland. How? Because we should give up Northern Ireland, more or less. There's only a tiny part of it says it wants to break away from Europe, that, in other words, votes like England. So a large part of the other part of it would probably be pro-Ireland unity. I would suggest to you that basically there should be a garrison area in Northern Ireland, or even somewhere else on the east coast of Ireland, and that's where the nuclear subs should be more permanently parked. And that might be a price that the Irish would give up in order to effectively, apart from a garrison town area, a port, a military port, have their country united. And I hate to mention the name, but a bit like Guantanamo Bay, that would be our Guantanamo Bay. And you'd sell a package to the Northern Irish like that, and a lot of them, of course, are unionists and wouldn't like it, but the fact is things have moved on. And you've got the Scots who might buy a part of a package like that if they get a better deal. And you can call it bribery, or you can call it coming to a negotiated settlement. If we're going to be, though, out of Europe, I think we really need to stick together. And that is a complete diametric opposite of what my view was before. We were in a different position before. And I don't know about the mechanics of it. I'm not sure that Scotland can say it's difficult to see how it gets its timing would be everything, and it's difficult to see how it gets itself in to remain in if England kicks itself out first, as it were, or kicks the UK out first, as it were. The timing of it staying in the European Union is very difficult to figure, the mechanics of it, especially when you don't know when the Article 50 button is going to be pressed by the rest of the UK. So that would be my prediction on that. Boris seems bang on for being leader of the Tory party, but I think that Theresa May would be a more sensible choice. There's a few reasons for that. I think she'd be a popular choice, and although Boris is more populist, he might be a bit too flaky in some ways. Great salesman, but maybe he'd be better as a campaign manager than as the actual PM. Unfortunately, he wants the PM position, so whether he'd settle for anything else, I don't know. So that's where we stand now. This is on Monday, the 27th of June 2016. Bit of a mess, but people should remember that the markets exist for turmoil. They complain about it and they seem to be going around running crazy like headless chickens over it, but that's when they make money. Don't trust the markets. You certainly don't use them as a guideline. If observers like Standard & Poor downgrade us, Moody's downgrade us as a country, they're observers, remember. You don't observe the observers and start acting appropriately. You get on with what you got to do, and you let the observers rate what they rate. There's no point trying to adjust, manicure the presentation of how things are. Best to just get on. I guess that's about it, really. Thanks for watching and listening.